Okay, so it's been a little while since I've done a what's in my gig bag video. I think like 2.5 or almost 3 years ago now. But I've finally got some shows coming up over the next few months, and starting next week, I'm gonna be on the road quite a bit off and on. So it's time for me to start getting my gear back together. So I figured I'd take you through a video and show you my touring rig for the foreseeable future. Now, if you're interested in any of the dates, any of the shows I'm playing with No Guthrie and Good Trouble, they're all linked down below. You can find tickets down there. And also while you're down there, you can find links to my brand new video course, the Pentatonic Breakout course. This is a new mini course that we're putting out. So if you want to get special pre-sale pricing, that's all linked down below. Also, I'm gonna have links to everything that I talk about in today's video down below. Some of that stuff will be an affiliate link, others won't be. I'll have it all labeled. And if you buy something through an affiliate link, I earn a small commission, which really helps me out in running this channel. And I thank you very much. So next week, I've got to fly from Atlanta to Austin, Texas for 2 shows. We're gonna be opening, so we got an hour slot. And because these are fly dates, I had to pack my fly rig. So let's start with the main guitar case that I'll be carrying through the airport. So this is a mono case, M80. I've been a mono case user for years, ever since they came out actually. I think I bought my first mono case in like 2012 when they first hit the scene, and I've been using their stuff ever since. This is one of the single cases. Normally I carry their dual case, but my other guitar is in this other Pelican, which I'll show you in just a minute. So now attached to the front of the case here, we've got the tick. And I think if you're gonna be traveling a lot, especially flying with something like this, I think the tick is almost a necessary accessory. I didn't have one for years, and as soon as I got this one, I kind of regretted not having it. So the tick sort of has multiple uses depending on where I'm going. So for a fly date, I've just got a bunch of crap in here right now. Now, some of this stuff I won't be able to fly with, but it's important to note anyways. The first thing is a can of Deoxit D5. You should have a can of this with you all the time. It's an electrical contact cleaner. You can use it to clean out scratchy pots. You can use it to clean dirty jacks, input and output jacks on your pedals, your amp, your guitar, all that stuff. This is, in my opinion, essential to have. The rest of the stuff in here is like a 1 spot. I always carry an extra 1 spot with me if a power supply were to go down on my board, something like that. Extra phone charger. You can never have enough of these things. I always have a phone charger in my suitcase, in my backpack, and somewhere in my guitar case, because generally when you get to a venue or you get to a festival where you're backstage, things get spread out super quickly. So your guitar cases and your rig cases might be backstage, but then you are in a green room, which in a festival situation could be hundreds of yards or even like half a mile away or a golf cart ride away. So things like phone chargers, I always have multiple of. Then extra patch cables. This is another necessary thing. Always having extra patch cables is super, super important because these things are consumables. Patch cables fail, even the soldered ones, they fail over time. So I always bring extra patch cables. These have saved me more times than I care to admit. And these are just the cheapo, like Guitar Center, you know, 15 bucks for a pack of 3, no name patch cables, but they've worked great. Next up, I've got my in-ear monitors. These are Ultimate Ears UE Live, I believe. I think these are like 7 drivers per ear. I could be wrong on that. But I've been using in-ears for the better part of 10 years now. With Noah's band, we use an in-ear monitor rig, so we're completely isolated from the front of house. We don't have to deal with a monitor engineer. We travel completely self-contained. So custom molded in-ears are really nice to have. And again, this stays with my guitars because obviously this is gonna be one of the first things that I unpack and put on when we're getting to the gig and we're getting set up, especially in a situation like a festival where you might be in a throw and go situation. It kind of helps to think about where stuff is and how quickly you can get to it and how often you need to get to something. So in-ear monitors, extra patch cables, extra pedal power supply, can of Deoxit, all these things are right with my guitar so that if I need to grab something quickly, it's right there. Now next up is a relatively new addition. This is the Tascam Portacapture X8. I just got this a few weeks ago when I was at GearFest at Sweetwater. Tascam gave this out to all the attendees, and this has become one of my new favorite pieces of gear. I've used Zoom stuff forever. The Zoom H6 is another fantastic handy recorder, but this Tascam just kind of takes it a step further than the Zoom. It's just a more updated, more modern version. My favorite thing about it is the touch screen. You can interact with it just on the touchscreen. It's much easier to see when it's on a stand or facing you. And I use this to record our shows. Because I'm shooting vlogs for the YouTube channel, I need good audio of what we're playing. But even if I wasn't making YouTube videos, I still would record the shows because it's useful to have. You can go back and listen to something. You can pick out a performance you thought was good, or you can listen to how your guitar might be translating in the mix. It's also got different modes as well. So it's got presets for like ASMR, field recording. It's got built-in reverbs and built-in effects. I mean, this is a pretty handy piece of kit, and it can actually become an audio interface with your computer over USB. So it's got 4 combo XLR 1/4-inch inputs on the side here, plus the XY condenser mics on top. So if you're watching Backstage Journal over the next couple weeks and you hear us playing live, it was probably captured with this. Now to go along with that, I have a friction arm. So this is something that comes from the video sort of photography cinema world, but is something that I think a lot of musicians could use in their gigging kit. Basically what this is a pretty heavy duty clamp on one end. You can clamp to a mic stand, drum hardware, whatever. And then this side has a 1/4-20 threaded bolt that you can use to attach things like your handy recorder. You can see there is a 1/4-20 thread. So you just screw this on like this. You get it in position, clamp it to something, and then you use this lever here to lock it in place, and it is super, super strong. Friction arms are amazing. You can use them to attach cameras to things if you've got GoPros or small cameras. I've even used them before to attach my big DSLRs to mic stands. So this is from Noga Cine Arms, and I bought this at a shop here in Atlanta called True Audio. And this is a really, really nice one. I think I paid like 70 or 80 bucks for this one. And it's super robust, it's super reliable. This one doesn't wear out, but a $20 friction arm on Amazon will do you just as well. Other things that live in the tick, little multi-tool. This is a Gibson multi-tool that came with my Les Paul, and it's got all of the Allen keys, flathead screws, you know, bit drivers, everything you need for common guitar hardware. I'm also a really big fan of like the Leatherman stuff. Other things I've got in here is a little Diodario neoprene pad. This is really useful for if you are working on your guitar in the hotel room or backstage. You need something soft that will protect your guitar's finish on a surface. These are really cool. You can get things like this on Amazon. I've seen people use mouse pads because that's essentially what this is. It's just a flexible mouse pad. But if you're restringing your guitar somewhere, you can put this down and then use a neck brace, which I have in my case, and restring your guitars. Now the last thing in the tick is a new addition for me, but it's something that I don't travel without now, and it's Apple AirTags. Now this is something that I didn't think I would like or would need, but I actually got them as a Christmas gift this past year, and they're amazing. I think they're about $100 for 4 of them. And these go in every case I have now. So I've got one in my guitar case, I've got one in my fly rig case, I got one in my backpack, and I've got one in my suitcase. And it's awesome. You know where your stuff is at all times, and they're super small. You can hide them in places. You can put them in little pockets where people might not think to look for this kind of thing. If you travel with gear, I mean any kind of gear, even your laptop or cameras or guitars or anything, it's worth having something like this if you're an iOS user. I believe there's something similar available for Android users as well. But this is just added peace of mind traveling with all this important and expensive gear that if something were to get stolen or more likely lost in an airport, you know where your stuff is at all times. In fact, last year coming home from Hamburg, my wife's bag got lost. It got left, and she had an air tag in it, and so we were able to get her bag back much faster from the airline because we could tell them exactly where it was. We knew what airport it was at and even what section of the airport it was in, and we got her bag back in a couple of days. And if that was a guitar, that would be a game changer. So Apple AirTags, I think they're a worthy investment. I've got them in all my stuff. Okay, next up we've got the mono guitar case. So in the main pocket here, I've got things that are directly related to the guitar itself. So I've got an extra cable. I always bring an extra instrument cable with me that stays with the guitar. So if I were to lose my pedal board case in flight or in transfer somewhere, I can at least be self-contained enough with a backline amp. I can take my guitar and plug it straight into an amp with my own cable and be good to go. So this is a Hendrix signature coily cable from Fender that I purchased recently, and it's rad because it's purple and it's a coily cable, and that's awesome. Next up, I've got the strap for this guitar. Now this is a strap from Right On. I believe this is a Spanish company. It's really, really thick, really wide padded leather. I started buying these straps a few years ago from my local guitar shop, Righteous. They're a dealer, and I like a nice sort of heavy duty guitar strap. I get really, really bad neck pain with just about any guitar during rehearsal or even a long gig if I'm standing for too long with a soft, flexible strap or a really narrow strap. It kills my neck. So I started using these old man, wider, softer guitar straps a few years ago, and they're amazing. A good guitar strap, I think, is something that's worth investing in. It can be a nice complement to your guitar, and it can save you a lot of pain and a lot of issues as well. Then inside the secondary pocket of the M80, I've got string changing stuff. So spare strings. Right now I'm using D'Addario NYXLs. These are 9 to 42s, but this will be changing soon. Not ready to announce anything quite yet, but I will be moving away from D'Addario strings and Ernie Ball and any other major manufacturer in favor of something a little bit different in the near future. But for now, I've been really happy with the NYXLs. I've got a string winder. This is one of the multi-tool versions with the winder and string clipper on the end. These are like phone chargers. Just have 3 or 4 of them around. Keep them in different cases, keep them in your backpack, because when you need one, you need one. Next up is a slide. I play a lot of slide on Noah's gigs. Half of the set just about now is playing slide. This is my signature brass slide from the Rock slide. I'll have these linked down below. I have a brass and I have a glass option. This is cool because it's like an aged brass, and I love the bevels. I love how these are machined because it allows you to keep it on your finger and to actually turn your finger around and get under the neck a lot easier than a long straight slide would. And the insides of them are tapered. These are really well machined, really well made, and I like the look of the aged brass. Next up is a neck stand or a neck brace. This is from D'Addario. It just folds out and then you set it on a table, and then you can lay your guitar neck into that brace to restring it, to adjust the neck, to do any kind of maintenance. I've used these in hotel rooms a lot in conjunction with that soft pad to just work on my guitars. You fly in somewhere, it's kind of a relaxing thing. It's kind of cathartic. I like to sit and restring my guitars the night before a show or even backstage at a show. So this always stays in my case. And the last but not least is my capo. I do play with a capo on electric, especially for Noah's gigs. It's nice to have for a couple of things, and I'll explain why in just a second. I've been using G7th capos forever, basically. I started buying them 10 years ago because this allows you to set the tension on your electric guitar. Oftentimes, traditional spring-loaded capos, they have too much tension and they can actually pull your guitar really, really hard out of tune. So the G7th has a clutch mechanism in it that allows you to set the tension of the capo on the neck. And with a well set up electric guitar that's got low action, you don't need that much tension from your capo. So I've been using these forever. I also like that they're really low profile. You can't even really see that they're on your guitar. I can't stand capos that have like the handles that stick up and it's like this big vice clamp thing. I think they're ugly. So big fan of the G7th stuff. Now the guitar that I'm going to be traveling with in this case for these shows coming up is my Mulecaster. So if you're not familiar with Mule Resophonic guitars based out of Saginaw, Michigan. They build resonator guitars as well as these all steel hollow electric guitars. Now this is set up with flats and really, really heavy strings on it, and it's going to live in open D for these shows coming up. Like I said, at this point with no Guthrie and good trouble, a large portion of the set I'm playing slide in open D and open E, hence the capo. I'll leave the guitar tuned in open D, and then when I need to go up into open E, I just throw the capo on the 2nd fret, and now I'm ready to go. This guitar is beautiful though. Matt Ike, the founder of Mule Resophonic Guitars, built this for me about 2 years ago now, 2.5 years ago. It's fantastic. It's got mini humbuckers. It's kind of a hybrid fully hollow / semi-hollow design. There is a solid piece of wood running from the neck all the way towards the heel of the guitar. But this just has a really warm, open, sort of dark tone. It's got flat wound strings on it right now, which work incredibly well with the slide. You don't get as much string noise with it. They also wear in a little bit different. These strings are original to the guitar. They don't corrode as quickly or in the same way that round wounds do. So it just adds to the sort of dark, kind of gritty nature of this guitar. This guitar is also equipped with the hip shot bridge. Every single time I play this thing, I get asked about this bridge. And essentially what this is an A bender, a G bender, and a B bender in one guitar. I can bend the B up, I can bend the G up, and you can tell I don't really use it, but I can also bend the A up. So it gives you opportunities to do really interesting chord voicings and pedal steel type things. Now the reality is I ordered the guitar with the hip shot bridge on it because I thought it was a super cool feature, and it is, but I just don't ever use it. So I'm actually gonna take it off at some point soon. I might even take it off before these shows because these levers just really get in my way, and it kind of hinders me from playing the guitar how I really want to play it. So I'll probably be pulling this off at some point in the near future and just going with the traditional Tele style bridge. Okay. Last but not least is the Pelican case. Now, earlier this week, I did a fly rig build video, and I showed a clip of this case at the end, and I got so many comments and DMs and questions asking about this. It's really why I'm doing this video to begin with. So let me show you what's going on with this. Now, my friend Benjamin Forehand was originally the one that turned me on to this style of case. This is a Pelican Air 1745 rifle case. So this is basically everything I need for the gig minus my slide guitar. The main guitar that I'm going to be using is my Novo Miris. This was a custom build by Novo for me a few years ago. It's called the Tilly Burst because my wife Tilly spec'd out the finish, the white over 3-tone burst, with the black sidewalls there. It's loaded with 3 Lollartrons, which I really love. It does that Gretsch kind of thing, but they're not too far away from a traditional humbucker kind of sound. Now next up, we've got the rig. Now I did a video on how I built this rig earlier this week. It's built around the quad Cortex based on a Pedaltrain Metro 15 board and a CIOKS DC7 Powersupply. And I'm really happy with how this board came out. I've been playing it basically nonstop for the last week or so since putting it together. This is a super powerful, super compact rig that came out really, really well, and I'm gonna be using it for the next several shows. Now in this middle compartment, I've got everything that I need to go along with the pedal board. So I've got my 2 cables. I've been using Mogami cables forever, Mogami Gold. I like these cables a lot. They're super reliable. They rarely ever fail. And if they do, they're really easy to repair. They have the really nice high-end Neutrik connectors on the end. These things are bomb-proof. So big fan of the Mogami Golds. I've got an IEC cable for the power supply on the pedal board, and I'm also traveling with the Quad Cortex's wall wart power supply. Anytime you're using a digital modeler like this, or the FM9, or the Helix, or the HX Effects, you always want to travel with its original power supply. Now the CIOKS DC7 will power the quad Cortex, but sometimes you can have weird issues with power. If this unit is not seeing the exact type and amount of power that it's used to seeing, it can start to cause weird issues which you don't want to have on stage. So I always bring the wall wart just as a backup. If I am having issues, I can just go straight from this into the quad Cortex. And then in the bottom here, I have the strap for this guitar. Now this is another ride-on strap. Same quality, same design, same size as the other strap. This one's just in black to match the Mirrors. This was actually my first ride-on strap that I bought years and years ago, and it's held up incredibly well. And then in this compartment down here, I have a DI. This is from Pinstripe Pedals. This is the DISO Plus, and this is designed specifically for modeling rigs. Yes, the Quad Cortex has XLR outputs, and there's nothing wrong with just plugging straight into the XLR outputs whenever you need to go DI to front of house, but this gives me a few other options, as well as being loaded with transformers. This has Jensen transformers in it, I believe, and I'm a big fan of getting as many transformers in your signal path as possible. I like what they do to the sound. So this is just handy because it gives me some different IO options to go with the Quad Cortex. And it does a very subtle thing to the sound that you probably won't notice it front of house, but I notice that it's there when I'm playing it and I like using it. So that lives in this little compartment right here. Okay, so that's what's in my gig bag for the foreseeable future, at least the next handful of shows that I've got coming up. Like I said, if you want to find out more about where I'm playing and where you can get tickets, that's all linked down in the description box down below. Also, don't forget, you can pre-order my brand new video course, the Pentatonic Breakout course, via the link down there. There's also links to other video courses like the Tone course, Fretboard Fundamentals, and the Nashville Number System course. If you're interested in any of that, they're all linked down below. I've got links to all the gear down there as well. Like I said, some of those are affiliate links, others are not. They'll be labeled so you know which is which. But I do appreciate the support. If you buy something through that link, I earn a small commission, which does really help us out here on the channel. So that's gonna do it for today. I really hope to see some of you guys out at the shows. I'm incredibly excited to be able to start playing live again. It's been way too long, and yeah, I feel excited to be actually packing stuff and putting a rig together again. So hope to see some of you guys out at some of the shows over the next couple of months. My name is Rhett Shull. Thank you guys so much for watching, and remember, there is no plan B.